what's about to happen to you, you'd leave now.
Some consider these traits to be toxic, such as undesirable in the men of today. We consider these traits such as these not only to be desirable, but to be appreciated and celebrated. Welcome to the Toxic Male Appreciation Show, hosted by and La Reina Creole. Welcome to the safe space for the toxic male.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to my channel. This is the Toxic Male Appreciation Show, and I am here with my co-host and wig woman, her of positive fandom. How are you, my dear?
I am doing very well. So glad to be here on a Thursday night on the show. There's just so many wonderful things to talk about on tonight's show, Lorena, and I am so happy to be here. How are you tonight?
I'm doing doing great, and actually just realized we've been doing this show for about a year. Can you believe it?
What? You mean
Yeah.
season 2?
Yeah, season 2. It literally just hit me today.
Well, congratulations to us. God knows. I think that we've done some incredible work together, and it's been such a wonderful experience. I'm looking forward to what season 2 has to offer, Lorena. I know it's going to be unbelievable.
Oh, yes. We are surely going to make sure of that. Definitely. And first of all, thanks so much to all of you who have been watching the show, your great feedback about the show. We love that you all are enjoying it and above all, feel appreciated and understood when it comes to the show. So very glad about that. So today's show actually, I have to give you credit for pushing me to actually watch the show because there are 2 lead actors that we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about Wendell Pierce and John Krasinski, and they happen to be starring in Tom Clancy's Jack Ryan, which is airing over on Amazon. Now, this is one of those things where I love Tom Clancy's novels. Oh my gosh, the novels. Anytime there's a movie made from one of his novels, I've gone and watched it. It usually has an all-star stellar cast and just elevates the political thriller genre. It's never been a bad time either reading a Tom Clancy book or even watching a Tom Clancy movie. And if I remember correctly, there is even a video game called Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six, if I'm not mistaken. So
You are not mistaken.
come to think of that, I need to play that one of these days. But Jack Ryan was a series that honestly I didn't watch the movie. I will say that I didn't watch the movie. It just was not on my radar. And I want to say since it appeared on Amazon, it's been in the back of my mind as one of those series that I need to sit down and watch. But I didn't really get a chance to do it until you told me that the 3rd season was coming out. So I went and binged all 3 seasons.
Mm. And how did you find it?
Oh, it was freaking amazing. I wish I'd started watching it so much sooner, than I did. So, what exactly? I mean, yeah, you have a leading man who's very attractive. And you know what? I honestly now I take it back. Because the first place that I saw John Krasinski was in The Office. Now, I am for people who don't know, and it's okay if you don't know, The Office was originally a Britcom.
Yes.
That is the version of The Office that I was used to seeing. So I wasn't really too into watching the American version, but did catch a couple episodes, which were kind of funny. So I'm thinking, okay, why is it that you're gonna have this comedic actor in such a politically thrilling role?
Yes, this is a good question. And, I have to say, first of all, he's an attractive man. And I think that sometimes when you do comedy at first, no one's looking at your attractiveness. No one is saying, wow, he's super
Sure.
hot. I want to go, that's not what people are thinking. At the time when he was in let's say, the American version of The Office, which is still a very popular show,
Mhm.
comedy ruled the networks. I mean, it was a big deal. There was a bunch of shows that kind of were similar to it, like Community and Parks and Recreation. That
Mhm.
that was created, I guess, by the British version, was replicated, just across the board, and it's still a very successful model. I think it's in Abbott Elementary, even, kind of a modernized
Yes.
version of this comedy that we see. And of course, Krasinski was kind of at the heart of it. He was the heart of the one of the most important characters in The Office. And so it was kind of hard to kind of look at him as a sex symbol at that point. Um, and so I think that it was just a natural progression for him to go off and do other projects. And he certainly has had an incredibly prolific career, Lorena. But I have to say that in recent years, maybe over the past 10 years or 15 years or so, he's taken a little bit of a turn to have more of a drama focused stories that he's doing, showing that he's a good actor, showing that he's able to do it, but also showing that he can do things that are very physical. And that was something I wasn't expecting, Lorena. I wasn't expecting Krasinski to be a
Hmm.
physical kind of person like that. Or even there's some scenes, and you've watched the episodes and the seasons, where he is, showing his physique, which is very, very good. He's very fit. I wasn't expecting to see this side of Krasinski, and I'm kind of happy that he's showing how versatile he is. He certainly is somebody who can do a lot of things, and you kind of want an actor like that in your project because you can kind of pull on him to do certain things. Jack Ryan is a very serious story. It's not a comedy in any regard, and a
No.
lot of what happens is extremely dangerous in it. And you and I watched Reacher last year and enjoyed it, and that element of danger in it, you can't sort of like be somebody who's passive. You have to be, an aggressive person who acts on things. When I say the character has to be aggressive and act on things, he has to be intelligent, which he is. And he starts off as someone who's kind of behind the desk. He was in the military, and he pretty much not nursing an injury, but he had an injury, and they gave him a desk job, as an intelligence officer. But he's capable of much more, isn't he, Lorena?
Absolutely, absolutely. Watching the show just to kind of catch people up. Jack Ryan is a CIA intelligence analyst. So that kind of holds a special soft spot in my heart because way back in the day when I worked for Stark Industries, I was actually in that particular in the in that world. And it is not an understatement to say that intelligence officers do not get a lot of respect. As a matter of fact, a lot of them are considered to be PowerPoint jockeys. Folks, make up your own jokes. So the you who know, the quickest way to piss off an intelligence officer is like, okay, well, sitting doing PowerPoints all day. But you're right. In the beginning, you kind of see him. He was a Marine. Um, had seen combat, some very, 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 very difficult situations that he was in. And, now he's in this position where it's kind of like he needs to find his footing again. He's not in the battle theater anymore. He's at a desk job. He's having to deal with civilians, at an alphabet agency, which is much different than dealing with the military, which is very, very apparent in the first season, the first episode of the first season. Extremely, extremely apparent. And we're actually going to start a little bit backwards, not a whole lot, a little bit backwards. But we're
Sure.
actually, because the reason that this is important is
Yes.
because Wendell Pierce, the actor Wendell Pierce,
Yes.
yes, he actually he plays the character James Greer in Jack Ryan, and he's kind of like, I would say, the mentor to Jack Ryan, because these two do not really get along in the beginning at all, do they?
Well, you know something? The thing that they have in common is that they take risks, but it might end there. I think that Wendell Pierce is a highly intelligent. He is an operative, but he's also a highly intelligent administrator and investigator. And a lot of what he does might be seen or perhaps focusing more on a global view. Not that Jack Ryan doesn't do that, but it's clear that Wendell, he's almost 3 or 4 steps ahead.
Yes.
And it's pretty clear that it's because he has these incredible ability and skills, and he was trained to do this. This was his career as a senior executive intelligence officer, if there is such a thing.
Mhm.
And that's why he is kind of someone who would be in charge of the whole operation, someone who creates these packets and says, this is what we're going to be doing. Now, it's funny because you're right. He becomes this mentor to Jack Ryan and kind of breaks Jack out of his shell. But to be honest with you, Lorena, Jack needed to be broken out of the shell. I think that he was kind of not really, he was a little stagnant, and he couldn't help himself because he would start to notice very specific information that was critical to missions. But Lorena, even I have to say that I am so excited in some of these episodes and seasons when you see Jack kind of hop on a Kodiak, I think it's called Zodiac or whatever it's called, with some of
Mhm.
those other operatives. And he was like, they're like, can I help you? He's like, yeah, I was hoping to get a ride. Of course, that's speak for we have to go do a mission together.
Yes.
I just enjoy the language and the lingo, but we know Wendell Pierce's character Greer is not doing that. He's the
No.
one who's back in the offices, and we saw him. Whether he's being detained, whether he's showing and being an emissary, whether he's speaking to personnel in the bureau, whether he's even state on a stakeout, he's doing a lot of important things that he is capable of doing to a T. So the two of them complement each other. Each person has a strength and weakness. And, we wouldn't want to see Greer going out and kind of, jumping down holes and things like that's not what we want to see him doing. We know that's not his style. He has his own special abilities, and the show brings out the best in both of them.
It absolutely does. You're absolutely right. It does bring out the best in both of them. Like in the first episode when you meet them, when Greer kind of almost runs over right on his bike, and it turns out, guess what? Hey, he's your boss. But you're right. Greer is more of, hey, I have to see, the trees. I have to see the forest for the trees,
That's
so to
right.
speak. And with Jack, it's kind of like, okay, well, the trees make this kind of pattern that go this way, and that's kind of what he's thinking, and he's kind of frustrated with, like, okay, Greer, why stuff suit, we know you're where he was chief of station
He
in the
was.
first one. Yeah. So he was chief of station chief. So it's just he has to move in different way. I won't say that his hands are tied, but he has to play much more of a political game than Jack has to. And there's some things that Jack can't do that he can, but he's very supportive of Jack. Once you start to see what happens in, we'll say, season one. Season one is very, let's not prevent another 9/11 without giving any spoilers. That's pretty much the gist of series one. So you see these two men starting to learn more about each other to find out, how to prevent, this tragedy from happening. But he has such great moments. I want to say, well, I will say, season two, I believe, saw the most exposition for James's character. Season 2 is, let's say, set in the Venezuela that we thought wasn't going to happen at one period in time, and then all of a sudden, all of that started happening. And what happens with Greer in that episode, when he gets, well, I won't say where he gets sent to. I know I'm trying to prevent some of y'all from seeing spoilers because I actually like this show. But let's put it this way: he got sent to be chief of station somewhere where, due to his health situation, he should not have been in the first place. So he kind of uses that card to get to where he needs to go in order to help Jack in season 2. And it's
And
just amazing, his acting.
I'm sorry. And Jack needs the help because, it's almost the point that Jack is in his career is at a point where you might have people on your side. And it seems like Jack draws attention, but sometimes the people he draws attention to don't necessarily have his best interests at heart. And so Greer does. Greer is not in there to take anything from Jack, really. He wants to prevent things as badly as Jack does. And, he doesn't have this ulterior motive where he's like, well, I'm going to use Jack to bolster me, to make me look better. That is not on his agenda at all. He wants to solve the problem and work the problem till they get a solution. And so we see a lot of different characters and politics that Jack is not necessarily capable of maneuvering without Greer's help. Even simple things, Lorraine, like, there's a part where Greer has a bankroll, cash, where they have to pay somebody. And, Jack is reluctant, and rightfully so, to do this. And Greer is like, listen, we have to get the mission done. And in order to do this, the cash must flow. And I think it's a very interesting thing, making those difficult decisions, not just in something like that, but also difficult decisions in, when we can strike or when we can try and rescue someone. It's truly something that, these very well-educated men who have skills that are extraordinary are showcased in a show like this, and done so wonderfully, with Jack kind of, just being his natural cool self, but also being incredibly badass as he, I guess, and what is it called when you're going off the side of a boat and you're climbing up, or whatever he's doing, all these cool things that he does.
Yeah.
That are just so much fun. The discoveries that we get in the show when we're like, gee, I didn't expect that. And he also, although it's not necessarily the case in season 3, there is also some romance in this. And I think that's also very important. Adult situations with people, certainly something that happens. And you can see that any woman would be attracted to Ryan. So let's just be, admit the facts that the guy is attractive. And, if I ever find myself at a bar in whatever country and Jack Ryan is over there, I'd go introduce myself.
Oh, yes. Introduce myself and buy him a drink. Several drinks. As a matter of fact. Let's see. But also, I will say one of the things that I definitely like that they brought Wendell Pierce on this show. He's an older man. He's a more mature man, still very attractive, that mature type of attractiveness. And also the added attractiveness of having that wisdom that comes with age in a quite dangerous profession.
Yeah, I agree. I would be terrified. This is just my personal point of view, but this is very high stakes. It's incredibly dangerous situations. I think we saw that especially in season 3, where Greer is in a bit of a compromised situation with world leaders, and it felt quite timely, especially what was going on just now, Lorena.
Yeah.
World played, I thought to myself, gee, they couldn't have known this. This production probably got the green light 2 or 3 years ago. How could they have predicted everything? But it was so incredibly relevant, but incredibly dangerous. I mean, it honestly felt to me, it was kind of like on the level of The Hunt for Red October in espionage.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's one of the things that I give the show a lot of credit for. Season 1, very easily relatable. Season 2, still easily relatable with the fact that we were in South America. But season 3 was like Back to the Future,
Yes.
where I'm literally, especially, I think when did they actually drop the word Soviet? I can't remember if they did or if they didn't. I think they did. And I said, wow, there are people who wouldn't even know what that means, who wouldn't really understand. And I'm probably getting a little bit into it. But when you hear, we'll say the old KGB club
Yeah.
talking
Yeah.
about the good old days when we were
Comrade.
feared and said, yeah,
Comrade.
exactly. Comrade, let's get you some, get you some vodka, get you some Russian vodka. But it's people, there's people who do not know that and who have no concept of what that time period was like, which is why they couldn't really understand why certain people were so intent on bringing it back, and just the motivation for it. But yes, with Greer's character, with the way that he had to, compromise through all of that, made the connections through all of that, call a chit in, that was smooth. That was smooth, and it couldn't have been anybody but him, with enough okay, I know this person who I need to call in a particular favor. And you realize just how high up that favor was, where it was just like, dang, what did he do? How much did this guy, you know, um, owe him? But it's yet more exposition for this character, just in how he is as valuable to the show as, the Jack Ryan character
Yes.
is to the show. And it's just great how those two characters play all over each other. Hey, D Nice Gamer, good to see you hanging out with us. As Hail Lorena Creole, and it's D Nice Gamer. Well, hello, glad to see you. Glad to see you. Well, let's find out some more about Wendell Pierce, because he has been in a ton of things. So let's see here. Number one, he was in The Wire. That I
Yes.
did remember him from. The Wire. That was one show where I did not get to watch all of it, but the episodes that I watched were just insane.
Yeah, there a lot of people love The Wire still. It's a fantastic series, and really there hasn't been anything else really like it. I think that it was a very unique time,
Hmm.
2002 to 2008. That's a lot of episodes there, a lot of seasons from that one show, and it is
Hmm.
memorable. What does it say? 9.3.
Yeah.
That's very rare for a lot of television shows to have that level of quality or even rating. Yeah, so he really Wendell Pierce, it's interesting because of this career of his. He is just, you can tell that he has an incredible range. Now, I know we were talking about Krasinski earlier and about comedy and everything, but
Hmm.
I'm sure if push came to shove, he could do it. But it's pretty clear that he definitely excels at these incredible dramas, high stakes dramas. And there is no denying that he can bring that level of brevity to a show like that.
Absolutely, absolutely. Especially when you look at everything that he's been in. But before we do that, tell you what, let's pop open his biography so you guys can take a look at that. He was born in New Orleans, Louisiana. All right. In 1963.
Mhm.
Let's see. He was Detective Bunk Moreland in The Wire,
Yes.
trombonist Antoine Baptiste in Treme. I think it's Treme, right? Which was another critically acclaimed movie that I did not get a chance to see,
I
but
haven't seen it either.
you haven't seen it either?
No, but we're gonna catch up. You and I are gonna catch up on all this stuff.
Yeah, yeah. We've got a lot. We've got a lot to catch
Mhm.
up with. Let's see. He was in I this is what I remember him from.
Yes.
Michael
Yes.
Davenport in Waiting to Exhale. That was, I believe, my first introduction to who Wendell Pierce was.
Same here. Of course, Waiting to Exhale is a critically acclaimed film, and of course, one of the actors in it is up probably for. She's kind of made history now. She's nominated for that Academy Award that
Mhm.
she just
Angela
won.
Bassett. Mhm.
Yes, it from Wakanda Forever. So that entire cast of people. In fact, Giancarlo Esposito's in this as well. It's just remarkable the ensemble that they brought together, and he was part of that. And you can certainly see him shine in that production.
Absolutely. That's another movie. Man, that's a movie we need to go back and watch because that was a absolute great film. I
I
didn't know you could set a BMW on fire.
Yeah. I made my best friend watch it. He was over and he's like, "What are we watching?" I'm like, "We're watching Waiting to Exhale." He's like, "Oh, what is that?" And I'm like, "You're gonna find out now."
Mhm. Oh my gosh. Let's see, he was in a revival of Death of a Salesman on the West End in London at the Piccadilly. Earned him a nomination for a Laurence Olivier Award for leading role in a play. That is a huge deal. Doing a play, not only doing a play in the West End, but getting nominated for something like that. It does not surprise me one bit, given his acting in Jack Ryan. What about yourself?
Yeah, I'm not surprised by it. Not everybody wants to win or be nominated for a Laurence Olivier award, but not everybody is, and not everybody can get a role in the West End. So that shows that he has incredible range. And Death of a Salesman is a classic play where you have to be great to honestly take that role on. Or else it's not worth your while. So I wonder if someone taped that somewhere. It would be great to see his performances on the West End. So yeah, there's probably a lot of things that he has starred into, meaning theater productions that
Mhm,
are spectacular as well. So really just lucky to get him for a series like this.
mhm, absolutely. Let's see. He went to Benjamin Franklin High School and the New Orleans Center for Creative Arts. I mean, outside of New York, New Orleans would probably be the second with respect to, how can I put this? With respect to how prominent the arts are there, the performing, well, we got the culinary arts, we got to put that out there. But even the performing arts, it's like when I was there, like say in Jackson Square, and of course you have the people who are doing live music. It's basically the same as being in New York, whether in Times Square. Almost the same thing, except the setting has changed. Just this rich tradition of the arts. So I'm not surprised at
Yeah,
all.
absolutely. And I don't know which fellow it is, but yes, you're right. There's a huge tradition of the performing arts, acting, and especially music from New
Mhm.
Orleans. So it is not a surprise that coming out of such a creative area, with such a push for talent and a push for expression and creativity, that he would become a performer. So
Mhm.
that's exciting to see somebody from New Orleans, doing roles like this. And I think it's wonderful to see that. I think that the culture there also is very rich. It's a little different than New York. There's a lot of cultural significance to the music and to a lot of what comes out of there. So there is that as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, let's take a quick look over some more of Wendell's filmography. Let's see here. Oh, first of all, let's see what upcoming projects he's
Yes.
in. Let's see, Silent Voice.
What is that?
See what that is. It's in pre-production with the help of family and community. A young man finds his voice. So I see Marley Matlin. As soon as I see that, I know, since she's a deaf actress, most famous for being in the Children of a Lesser God. She's in it. Michael Jai White is in it. I don't think I've seen him in anything since Spawn, probably.
It's
he
been
looked
a while.
he looked good as Spawn, and Wendell Pierce is in it. So this is apparently in pre-production, a drama. Should be quite interesting.
I think so too. I think coming off of Coda, people want to see feel good films again. And I have a feeling that this might be one of those that, is just going to kind of rise once it comes out, get a lot of attention.
Hmm.
And I'm excited for it.
Absolutely, that's definitely the one to put on the watch list. I'm so glad movies and TV productions are starting up in earnest again. It's just, I miss that. I really do.
Me too.
And King of the South, which is also in pre-production. You
Oh,
wait a minute now. The biopic of Master P.
what?
I'm done. I'm so done. I oh, I have been a fan of Master P for years.
This is going to be
Years.
great biopic. I think a lot of people are going to, learn more about him. But of course, we're going to have all the music that we love coming out of this. And it's about time we had something like that. It's been a little while. I think the last time we had something like this might have been, I can't remember. It's not Easy E, but there was a biopic. The kid who's on the
Straight out
West.
of Compton.
Yes. That
Yeah.
was the last thing that we had that was even kind of focused. His son played the role, right? Um,
Yeah, exactly. He looked
that
just
really, and I
like
remember, and I'm sorry, Lorena, I remember scenes in it where the music executives were saying, well, we don't know who you guys are, but we love this music. He's literally staring at the creator in the face, but he's just so blinded by his assumptions of, how these kids should be treated because they don't look a certain way. It was
Mhm.
100% discrimination. And he's like, you don't understand. We just made you $10 million, but the executives, they just could not, at least in this depiction of it. And perhaps we'll see, maybe a different treatment here of Master P. But of course, I'm looking forward to that music, Lorena.
I so am, because Master P and his record label, the way that he just exploded onto the hip hop scene and other arts that he brought up. He's the dad of Romeo, aka Lil Romeo, and I can't wait. I cannot wait to watch this. I can't wait to watch this. We're hip hop fans, so yeah, this is
Yes.
definitely on the list. Which reminds me, I need to watch the Wu Tang biopic on Hulu. I'm embarrassed to say I forgot to say that. I got to see it, but I'll get to that. So let's see. Of course, obviously, Tom Clancy's Jack Ryan. Upgrade Soul. That's a podcast. I hadn't heard of that. Eureka, that looks like that's a cartoon. Don't Hang Up. Now, I'd heard of this movie, but had not seen it. It's actually a thriller.
Oh,
Follows Chris Daniels, who receives a call that his daughter has been kidnapped, and the
wow.
kidnappers demand that he complete a series of different missions to get her back, including one crucial direction not to hang up the phone.
Oh my gosh. It feels like one of those movies that are filmed with just in one one shot, or they call like a one shot movie where everything's filmed just on the camera that way, because you
Mhm.
can't hang up the phone. So, it's like you have to somehow make sure that that phone battery doesn't die. It'd be very interesting to see something like this, because, he has to outsmart people in
Mhm.
this. And I think that that would be very clever. I have a feeling he gets the upper hand at the end.
I would say so. I would definitely say so. Let's see. Suits. I did not know he was in
I
Suits.
didn't either. 36
Mhm.
episodes. That's a good amount of time.
Yeah, very
That might be
good.
1 or 2 seasons.
Let's see. Chicago PD. I didn't watch that show. That,
I haven't
that
either.
just wasn't really interesting to me. Unsolved: The Murders of Tupac and the Notorious B.I.G. Detective Lee Tucker for like
Interesting.
5 episodes. And it turns out he was an Archer.
Well,
There were so many cool guest voices in Archer, so that's pretty cool.
I
Stuff like that.
agree.
I remember he was in Bad Moms. That was a funny movie. That was a funny movie. So he's in Bad Moms. Let's see. There's so many things that he was in. He was in Selma.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he was in Selma. He was in the Twilight
He was in
Saga.
Twilight?
Yeah, as Jay
Wow.
Jenks. He was in the Twilight Saga.
I
He
should
was
have
in
remembered that. I watched it about a bazillion times.
Let me see if they show his character.
Yeah.
I think I kind of tapped out after the first one.
I understand.
It just was not for me. It just was not for me. Yeah, they're not showing it. I guess it was like a bit part for Wendell. Let's see. Numbers. So it's a lot of things that he's been in. He's just been constantly working. He even had been in Law and Order
Mm, yeah. I've seen most Law& and
and
Orders,
Ray.
but, since it's been 30 years, it's been on the TV for 30 years, right?
Mhm.
So,
I
but,
usually watch SVU.
so oh, he was in Ray. Now, I remember Ray. Can you believe,
Mhm.
2004? Wow.
Such a long time ago. It's just amazing. Amazing. Yes, an extremely talented author. I mean, sorry, talented actor. Is unapologetically, I can talk today, unapologetically masculine in his portrayals. There's nothing, I would say there's nothing really unmasculine, about him, and he's a great actor. I would say he is one of those distinguished Black actors up there with, like, say, Denzel, Sidney Poitier, Lawrence Fishburne. I mean, they are just an amazing crop of actors.
I agree, and, I still get chills in that scene where he's, in season 3, where he kind of puts himself in danger knowing that he may not walk out of it. And, he's pretty much saying that what happens to him is completely irrelevant, and, he's trying to see what he can do on his end. And I thought to myself, wow, that is unbelievable that the character he's playing would put himself on the line like this. I think it just showed so much integrity and character that particular that Greer had. He just really brings Greer alive, even with the heart issue he had. That medical emergency. And
Mhm.
we're familiar with this, Lorena, and I'm sure at the workplace, and you have friends who you hear who have had some issues with that. That is a reality of unfortunately, some men these days. But
Mhm.
he just handles it. He handles it. I thought honestly, well, I'm not going to say what I thought, but it was a scary moment too, and
Yeah.
he just kept going. I don't know. I just think he's so talented. I can't wait. I mean, it seems like the series is a success and it's going to keep going.
Very
Um,
much so.
we've only just had season 3, but I can't wait for the next season.
I can't either. I'm just like, bring it, bring it on. Now that I've binged it all, I'm like, kind of feeling that letdown. So yeah, I can't wait. It really is that good. Well, folks, we are going to move over to John Krasinski, who plays Jack Ryan in the show. Like I said, I only thought of him really as a comedic actor. He had I won't say small part. He had a part in the movie A Quiet Place. I just remembered seeing him in that. I was like, oh, okay, this is a little different. But I'm so glad of how much of a range expansion that he's had, so much so that one of the fan theories going into Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness was that we were going to see Mr. Fantastic portrayed by John Krasinski. When he showed up, when they showed that in the theater and you saw John Krasinski, the crowd went crazy. All the nerds lost their minds. And we'll leave it at that in case you've not had the misfortune of watching Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. But it was very visceral to see that and to see the response. And it's just like, man, he's come a long way since The Office.
He really has come a long way. And, of course, as we mentioned how talented he is, and he's won awards for his role in The Office, as we have here, his SAG Awards for that. But certainly he's showing that he is very versatile. And Lorena, correct me if I'm wrong, the series that they have with A Quiet Place or that film,
Yeah.
he's doing with his wife, Emily Blunt, and they very cleverly painted a picture of the family at different points in their life that is quite interesting. Where I guess I don't necessarily want to spoil it, but let's just say that different family members are shown in some films while not in others for different reasons. And I love how they did it. And am I incorrect in saying that it's a project that they did together and also produced together or something like that?
You could be right. We'll find out when we get into when we get into his credits. But yeah, we'll find out. That could very well be the case because there are so many actors in Hollywood who not only act but also produce certain projects. And if I'm not mistaken, A Quiet Place, when that first came out, it was like a sleeper hit. It didn't have a huge budget, and people were just kept talking about it. So it's very possible.
They really did. And I think, sometimes we need to see these entertaining,
There we
um,
go. You were
shows.
absolutely
I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, so I'm saying you were absolutely right. Husband and wife team John Krasinski and Emily Blunt both star in the thriller A Quiet Place. Check out other projects they've been involved in over the years.
And certainly, Lorena, as you and I both know, there's been a Quiet Place Part 2 was a hit this summer.
Yes.
People went and saw that. I went to see that in the movie theater and I enjoyed it and I covered my face. I said, like enjoyed the excitement of the entire thing, even though I knew what would happen. That's what's so interesting about the way they created this, that we knew what the outcome was, but we still are really interested to find out what's going to happen in the next film. And of course, that deal is in the works, or however you want to put it. But it's a successful collaboration between the two of them that, for what I guess when it comes to, let's say, horror, survival horror is one of those genres that's repeatedly in the top 10 or top 20 successful films of the year are films like that. So I think that they really did a great thing by choosing that. So he's good in comedy, he's good in drama, and he's good in horror. This is, I don't know what else this man can do, but I'm completely impressed. And you just were showing just a quick snippet of Jack Ryan there, and they show the woman,
Mhm.
this woman who is, I guess like an Angela Merkel or one of those European leaders that we see all the time, and they would call her like she's the most powerful woman in Europe or something like that.
Mhm.
And or maybe from Sweden or something of that nature. We've had a few female prime ministers of the United Kingdom who would definitely fill the bill there. But it was nice to kind of see that, a little fun to see even her playing off of things. And she was very close to Greer in this, Lorena, Greer's character, where she depended on him on more occasions than one, just trying to figure out what the hell is going on
Mhm.
in an incredibly complicated espionage style season. But I was just absolutely in love with seeing, and I know I'm digressing, but seeing Krasinski in those scenes where he had to perform. This is only some. I'm sorry, only a man could do this stuff. That's how I feel. I was so impressive to see him, do his missions, and
Mhm.
just realizing what he's capable of doing, because he looks very kind of calm and cool, and just like an ordinary guy. But he's not an ordinary guy. And this, I think, he brings out a lot of excitement with Jack Ryan, because something's coming. It's like, oh, a mission, okay, yes, So, this is what we like to see, this excitement in this character in this series. And I don't think anybody ever thought anything was going to happen with Jack Ryan and that it was going to come back like this. But
Mhm.
a lot of these classic books, and I think really can have a second and third life depending upon the approach. I feel like it's what we need right now to see. And he, of course, is doing whatever projects he's doing. But this one for me really kind of defines, as far as I'm concerned, where he is in his life and his potential for a character like this. I just absolutely love what we're seeing with it, Lorena. There's a lot of parts in it where he has to kind of talk people off the ledge. And we can talk about this, Lorena, because as working professionals, we've had to talk people off the ledge.
Oh, yes. It's just like, all right, just okay, it's not that bad. No, it's absolutely horrible. It's like, all right. All right. You kinda have to go in there like the hostage negotiator,
Yeah.
where you have to be calm because that person, it's like they're so wound up and they're so on edge, and it's just, yeah, trying to talk them back off, which is a skill in itself.
It really is, Lorena. And, I mean, there's one scene where I don't want to, it's not too much of a spoiler, but let's just say it's a potential combat situation where he is amongst a group of other people who are ready. They're ready for the word engage. They're
Mhm,
ready to engage, like the everything is locked and loaded, and at any moment they could engage. And this is a very interesting approach, I think, of where he finds himself, and just that thing that I think a lot of men like this can do, these hostage negotiators, these
mhm,
incredible, it wasn't a hostage situation, but it's something similar to that, where the person is almost could go either way. And it was that delicate of a situation. I think a lot of suspense and drama at a point where there's no physical contact. We're talking about two groups of people who might be hundreds of miles away, but there was that tension of the possibility of that action taking place. And I think that they capture that. Krasinski captures that passion as he does these roles. But certainly you could feel the testosterone in the air from these men who were ready to push the button, Lorena. And it was like,
mhm.
oh my gosh, what is happening here? What's going on? And we saw it on both sides. That's the other thing, Lorena. We saw it on both sides. Let's say in that particular case, here's another situation here where they have to go and find out information. I'm
Mhm.
just so impressed. The other gentleman who plays with him, I don't remember his name, but we've seen him in a lot of shows, Lorena.
A lot of shows, and I'm, like, blanking on his name. I believe it's Michael Kelly, because I've seen this dude in so much stuff,
Yes. Yes, he's
if
been
you
on,
look
he
at
might be
that.
maybe The West Wing, maybe he's been in a bunch of procedurals, just in so many things. Um, oh wow, I didn't know he was in Man of Steel.
I didn't either. And he was in
Wow.
Dawn of the Dead. That's probably one of the things that I really remember him,
Mhm,
I remember
mhm.
him from.
And he certainly does kind of, seem like he might be an operative who's a consultant now. He plays that role very well. Um,
Very.
Former intelligence officer or private contractor now, and he kind of hints at it in the story, but he is needed. And this unit it's got to be a close unit where he can trust people and where he knows people can get the job done. And in a lot of instances, because these two and Greer, that woman is still alive. She'd be dead. She would be dead if it wasn't for these men protecting her. And it's remarkable what they're capable of doing. Let's say there were a lot of instances where a lot of them could have perished, but this ability that they have is remarkable. Look at Krasinski just there. I mean, he's just like,
This dude, this is how I knew this guy was about business.
Yeah.
Because in the first season where they found out, the dude who basically ratted people out, and like a punk, he's like, I had no choice, and Michael Kelly's character basically tells John Krasinski's character, tells Jack Ryan, yeah, go to the car, go away from me, I'll meet you there. And you knew something was going to happen, and all you heard was a gunshot, and you knew it was coming. You knew it was coming because he wound up betraying Jack, betraying everybody, and it's just like, this cannot go on, and I need to take you out with extreme prejudice. And Jack just looks like, oh man, but he is willing to do whatever it is that he has to do in order to protect the mission, because when he speaks to Madame Popov, I believe
Yes.
it was Madame Popov, and convinces her. I mean, he's very convincing. Like, I'm going to give you an offer that you really can't refuse. That would be in your best interest. Not physical violence threatening.
Mhm.
It was a piece of information that she really needed to know.
Yes.
And he brought it back to a very personal level, but also gave the aura of, this is information that you need to know, but I'm going to protect you so that you get it.
Yeah, it's very interesting to see these relationships that are built upon trust, oftentimes upon your actions. He couldn't have any missteps here, and he knew that. He knew that his presence and his dedication to getting this, everything resolved for her, that she would see that. She needed to see, how he behaved even prior to that offer, because she could see just from what's going on around her, things are a little off kilter. The person what happened in front of her own eyes was a clue to her in more danger than usual, but she needed to see this other party. And of course, there was, as we said, it's got that espionage to a lot of whose side are you on. But you make a good point, Lorena, because only God knows how things would have turned out if that offer, and information wasn't shared with her. It might have been the most important part of the story, actually. So it is very interesting that sometimes having that pivotal, role, if you will, in a story, will actually make things a success or not. And so, yeah, I just love his, as I said, his rapport with the other operators. In fact, it might be these guys in the helicopter, right? Who are like, yeah. It's like, you're not leaving, are you? No. And then the helicopter like fly off or something. It's like, are you sure you have to make this boat? Yeah, I'm sure. Okay.
How badly do you want to get on this boat? I'm just like, that is a question that is going to be answered very, very, very quickly.
But something? I don't think he was surprised at what happened.
No.
We've seen a few situations where I think it was another actor who played, it might not have been Tom Clancy, but one of those roles where he just had to decide he was going to jump in himself. But it's incredibly dangerous to do that. And, he could get hurt. There could be other things in the water.
Mhm.
But it was almost like it was his, brother who's like, "Oh yeah, yeah," like, but it is like a brotherhood. He wasn't hurting him. It was
Mhm.
just the notion of, I can make this happen for you. With a smile. I can make it happen for you. It's not going to be what you think, but we'll get you there.
We'll get you there. We'll totally get you there. Hey, Dan Man Walkings. It's good evening, ladies. Well, good evening. Good evening. This show, I'm telling you, if you are looking for something to tide you over for the second season of Reacher to air and you haven't watched this, trust me, you need to watch this show. It is not quote unquote woke, not at all. Not at all. Um, Men, very heroic men, also very heroic women who are heroic in their own right. They're not, their heroism isn't at the expense of a man. It's great to see. It's wonderful to watch. It reminds it reminds you of the political thrillers and stuff that we used to watch, back in the day when it was all about entertainment and keeping you on the edge of your seat. That whole espionage, you don't know who to trust, you don't know who is going to turn you in. You have no idea, what's going to happen. It's just great, enjoyable entertainment to watch.
It really is. And, we do get to see Krasinski and Pierce shine in this. They are so spectacular in their delivery and
Mhm.
their level of understanding. And there is, I think it's funny when there's a point where the Jack character gets reunited with a friend who,
Mhm. Yeah,
saved his
friend.
life, right?
Yeah.
And it's just those funny things. But Greer knew at any moment that the person who you think isn't your friend can be that way. I think that
Mhm.
he has that foresight. Not that Jack doesn't have it, but I think he has that foresight. You see, I think Jack's focus might be on having to do some physical things and stepping away from trying to deliberate. Whereas
Mhm.
as the Greer character knows that a year or two from now things could change and they could be your allies. So just keep that in mind. He's been doing these negotiations maybe a lot longer, maybe about 10 years more than Jack has. So
Mhm.
he's seen a thing or two in his day, and he knows how quickly things can change in a heartbeat. So there is that. And I think he kind of looks at him like, okay, all right, yeah, okay, But it is also very interesting. You mentioned that the Greer character is his mentor, but they're also incredibly good friends now, Lorena, which is obviously happening, and that's what we're seeing. Maybe even in this picture, now they can finish each other's sentences and they're on the same page. And certainly we do see that in this season. I'm not going to say why, but Greer has to trust Jack in a way he hasn't had to trust him before. And
Mhm.
so, there is that. It's such a good season. It's such a good season.
It so is.
Yes, and it's just absolutely wonderful. I think, as I said, Krasinski looks good with his shirt off too. So there is that.
Oh, hell yeah.
And
Absolutely.
yeah, so we do get to see that male beauty that we love here. Just
Mhm.
absolute perfection with these two, Lorena. I can't say enough about it.
I can't either. I can't either. I will just keep talking about it for I don't know how long because this show is that good. Two, it's great entertainment, and three, it's not, there isn't any demonization of men except for, you know, the bad guys who deserve it. Let's put it to you. Let's put it to you like
And
that.
we
Oh,
even
so
get to
good.
see the other side, Lorena. That was something else that I was not expecting, but that kind of reminded me about the Hunt of Red October, because that was something that you remember they considered the other side's point of view in that, which I also did not expect in that. but it
Mhm.
made it even more satisfying, as you said, Lorena, how there were people who were around who remember the old era and
Mhm.
how that came into play. So it really was more of a worldview of what the influence that their team can have. And
Mhm.
it certainly was maybe one of the best things I've watched so far this year.
I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. So it looks like imaginary friends.
Yes.
Is this about a psych ward? I'm just guessing. Let's see. Plot kept under wraps. Yeah, no kidding.
What?
But I've heard about this.
What?
Ryan Reynolds is in it.
Ooh.
Well, no wonder. Ryan Reynolds is in it. John Krasinski is in it. Steve Carell is in it.
Oh my gosh.
Lou
Lou
Gossett
Jr.
Jr. is
is in.
in it. Wow, Fiona Shaw. Oh my
Remember her from
gosh.
Harry Potter? She played
Yes.
the aunt in that, and of course, in a lot of other things
Mhm.
as well. Um, she's
Child
wonderful.
child patient. Okay, I am guessing that this is either about children who are in therapy and they have quote unquote imaginary friends. That could be it. Ryan Reynolds, John Krasinski, and Steve Carell. So you know it's a comedy. Yeah, there you go. Comedy, drama, family. There we go.
Well, it's two of the members from the American version of The Office back together,
Mhm.
right, Lorena?
Yes.
And,
Yes.
who do you know who's getting their own movies written and made these days? Nobody.
Mm-mm.
Just maybe John and his wife, Emily Blunt, who had A Quiet Place, and now here's another one. Um,
Mhm.
this is gonna be incredible, Lorena. Whatever it is, I cannot wait. I'm excited about it before I even know what the plot is.
Expected May 24th of next year. Yeah, Imma call it. It's about kids in therapy talking about their imaginary friends
Yeah.
and, you know, and the imaginary friends are probably like, "Yeah, she can't see me. Is that yours? Yeah, that's mine. That's yours? Yeah, that's mine. What's your superpower?" "Well, this is my superpower." I I'm just guessing that that's probably what it is. Let's see. Of course, DC League of Super Pets. I missed this one. I heard it was funny. I missed that
It
one.
and it is animated, right?
Yes, yes, it is. It is animated, and I heard it was actually pretty funny. Of course, he was in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness as Reed Richards, which
Yes.
is I was happy and pissed off at the same time. You will have to see the movie in order to understand what I'm talking about. Oh, he was the silhouetted gamer in Free Guy. Oh,
Ooh, no.
okay.
That was
Okay.
another popular film last
That
year.
was yeah, that was a fun movie. That was a
Mhm.
fun movie. It was a movie where some people who had the advanced script had said it really wasn't that great. I enjoyed sitting there and watching it. I truly did. I had a great time watching that one. Let's see, A Quiet Place, of course, he was in that. Oh my gosh, he was in Robot Chicken.
Yeah.
I have to find that episode because Robot Chicken, I can't even really describe it except stop motion on crack, but with quite possibly some of the best Star Wars parodies ever, ever. I mean, the Emperor getting mad that the Death Star blew up because it was going to ruin his credit.
I love it.
Oh, he was in 13 Hours.
Yeah, yeah, and, if I remember correctly, that was a pretty, successful film. And of course, it is a politically charged film
Yes.
about the senator at the time when Hillary Clinton was the Secretary of State. And there was this sort of secret trip that I guess the State Department allegedly didn't know about. Let's say everything's allegedly. But what's
Mhm.
most interesting about it, Lorena, is that it heavily focuses on these men who are consultants, former operators, who can get you out of anything if they have the right equipment, if they have the right situation. And pretty much this was like one of the most deadly extractions, if you will,
Yes.
or attempts at an extraction. I've watched this film maybe 20 times with my best friend. And, you know, it really is a very well-made film. He is one of the operators.
Hmm.
Um, and a lot of things stand out about it, but one of the things that's most terrifying is seeing, you know, let's say where they are on that compound and seeing everybody coming in and you know they're coming in.
Hmm.
And I remember turning to my best friend saying, "Can he get out?" He's like, "Well, yeah, he could get out, but it depends on what equipment they have, like what supplies, because it was too many people with only a few with only a few
Hmm.
men who can do extraordinary things, but they need supplies. They were not on official military duty. They're
No.
consultants in this, so it's a little different. They don't have the same resources, you know, that they would normally have, that we see in a lot of other missions. So, um, you know, they pretty much sacrifice a lot. Just I don't remember all the particulars, but it was incredibly dangerous mission, and it was a secret mission, and there was a lot of focus on the fact that it was being carried out with a senator. I think it was a senator who was doing this meeting, and apparently the State Department allegedly says that they didn't know about it.
Yeah, was he the ambassador?
I'm
Um,
sorry. Thank you.
yeah, that's okay. So the ambassador Olivia, because I remember hearing about the story that this was the case of you wouldn't think something like this would happen, but when it came down to brass tacks, the only people with the guts to go in and to try to extract our ambassador out were contractors who said, "There's no way we're leaving an American behind. This can't go. This cannot be happening." And just everything that they went through. And this was a story that I'd followed ever since it broke. And I read the book. The book is amazing. Book is great. The movie's great, as well. It's something that you would never think would have happened or would have been allowed to happen to one of our people, and, actually several of our people, but just the reason that this all went down, and it could have been so prevented, but again, you have players in the background. So, let's put it this way, just go back and look up YouTube, Hillary Clinton, what difference does it make? Go back and
Exactly.
watch that, and I'll tell you everything that you need to know. Wow, but yeah, I would say definitely check this film out.
It's
I would
amazing.
say check this film out before you go back and actually, watch Jack Ryan.
Yes.
It's that good.
We need to do a watch party of this one, Lorena. We need to.
Oh, man, we do, we absolutely do. We have so much to watch. But yes, he was in so much stuff. Of course, Jim Halpert in The Office.
Mhm, mhm.
Apparently he was in The Muppets, I guess, as himself. I don't remember that. That's interesting. I remember that, but yeah, he was in a lot. He's been in a lot of things. The Office was his breakout thing, knowing him as like a house, as a household name, and then did something amazing, which is break into other film genres. So he's not kind of like stuck or say pigeonholed, so to speak.
Absolutely, and he's getting better and better looking, so there is that. I'm completely fine with that. I think he is, just really a breath of fresh air right now, and I guess my dream scenario would be to see him and, who else? The guy from Reacher and the guy from The Terminal List in a crossover operative somehow.
Wow. So you'd have John Krasinski, you'd have Chris Pine and Alan Richson.
Mhm,
Wow.
mhm. Chris
Meanwhile, their studio heads are like, "Oh my God, there's no way we could have that much money.
Why not?
Oh, you said the terminal list. I thought for some
I'm
reason, I thought
sorry.
the contractor, Chris Pine, was in the contractor.
No, he was good in that too. Let's put Chris Pine in there and Chris Pratt. Let's do both of
Mhm.
them. I think that would be a very interesting movie. So let's hope there's more down the pike. I mean, he's already recollaborating with some other people from The Office. Maybe we're going to see a lot more. I think with the
Hmm.
success of this show and of the Terminal List and of Reacher, I think we're going to be seeing a lot more toxic male behavior and representation to enjoy, Lorena.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, folks, that is going to wrap it up for this particular show, Toxic Male Appreciation. Definitely do check out Jack Ryan. Again, we also highly suggest that you watch the film 13 Hours as well. And if you have never seen any episodes of The Wire, you should definitely check that out to see some of Wendell Pierce's most amazing acting, of course, before Jack Ryan. So, before we sign off, do you want to let the people know where they can find you?
Yes, yes, you can find me on my YouTube channel, Positive Fandom. Please do like and subscribe to Positive Fandom. And of course, you can find me here on Lorena Creole's channel on Twitch and on YouTube for this show and for our watch parties and everything else that we're doing. And you can also find me on the 1/6 Scale Man Network, I think tonight on Uncivilized Scoundrels, as well as the Burn Network, either on Musings or on our Monday night show, Lorena, that we
Mhm.
do together, Ladies of the PGS. So please do like and subscribe to Positive Fandom, everybody. And thank you so much, Lorena, for having me on tonight.
Oh, you're welcome. Welcome as always. As always. So, folks, of course, you can find me on the Twitters, you can find me on Instagram, and of course on YouTube, live streams and videos, some of which I do with her of Positive Fandom. You can catch me on her channel right now. We're doing weekly watch parties of The Last of Us series, which is so amazing. I'm thoroughly enjoying it. Cannot wait for episode 3 this week. Of course, you can also find us doing various watch parties for things such as anime series, where we are actually starting from the beginning with JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. And those videos have started to drop. We're starting all the way from the beginning with the Phantom Blood series. So definitely please do check that out as well. So, everyone, thank you so very much for hanging out with us for Toxic Male Appreciation. You amazing men out there, stay toxic, and we will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.